Ah, hello guys, welcome back. So yeah, this camera resets itself every single day. So every single day we're gonna have to play the zoom the camera in game. Didn't zoom it quite as tight, I think this time. I'm not sure. If it's out, it's like you see more of my body. Which if I could just be like from here up on camera, I'd be more comfortable. I don't like being on camera. So yeah, yeah. If it's zoomed the whole way out, you see all of me. You see too much of the room. I'm like trying to crop it so it looks decent. So Vodka Aunty PSA time. I've noticed a lot of people are getting all their pagan and witchy information off of Tumblr. I hope you know that is the fucking stupidest place to go for information on anything. It's a lot of people lying and exaggerating and writing fan fiction. It's just people that don't want to put in the time. They might not even have the belief. They just want to have attention. They want to have all eyes on them. That's where you're getting all this fucking god spousery bullshit from. And you also don't want to go on Reddit for the same reasons. Yes, I've mentioned going on Reddit just to see what people say, but it's because I have the patience to dig through 50 to 100 neckbeards and fucking fancy dress atheists, no offense to atheists, but you know the kind I mean, they're pricks, to get to that one person that actually had something genuine to say. I have the patience to do it. Most people don't, and they're gonna go on there and they're gonna see some neckbeard or some crank yanker post something, and then that's gonna hurt their relationship with the god. Stay off both those fucking platforms. There really aren't any good platforms right now. We have COVID right now. We have a bunch of bored people who couldn't go to church, so apparently becoming pagan was like just one thing of not going to church away, which kind of scares me because that kind of indicates a problem. For most people, it was a long, hard struggle for conversion. In fact, most people, if we would have had our druthers, we would have never converted. We would have stayed with our original God. Something had to go tragically wrong for us to convert. And for me, it was growing up Roman Catholic and being told, well, you're gay from a little kid. Gay people are going to hell. God hates you. And after a while, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And so I left the church. And when you leave the church and you went into Wicca at the time, it was like, no, you leave your old God behind. Now it's different. Now everybody does whatever the fuck they want. But at the time, it was kind of a ham-fisted conversion process where you left all your old beliefs behind, you left all your old holidays behind, and you were given the will of the year, and you were given the god and the goddess, and you were told you could plug and play any other god except your old god into the god, any god or goddess into the goddess, mix and match and everything else. This led to a lot of fun, and it led to a lot of pissed off, belligerent people because it's as bad as a shift of going from being hardcore carnivore to being a hardcore vegan. It's a fucking nightmare because your whole life turns upside down. You have to really get rid of everything you have. If you're going from carnivore to vegan, you're throwing all the meat and everything and all the animal products and all this other crazy bullshit out of your house, and then you're sitting on the floor crying because you can't get away from animal products no matter what you do. People like to fool the thing with um vegans. Well, do you ride a bus? Har har har, because fossil fuels, dinosaurs, da da da. And it's the same thing for witches when we would convert at that time. There's really no conversion process, yet there is. You have to give up the holidays everybody around you is celebrating, and everybody around you is enjoying, and everybody around you has marked on the calendars because they're the dominant holidays. Even if we have all sorts of cultures in this country, people are lazy, and it puts you in a really bad place, and it puts you in a really bad mood because most of your childhood memories, especially if you came from, say, Christianity or whatever, were of the holidays you had. And now you can't have those anymore for the rest of your life, forever. And eventually, as a witch, you reach a point where you're like, fuck this shit. And you do whatever you want. But that doesn't mean you lack discipline. For a long while there, you are celebrating these holidays, and then you come to a realization, these don't mean anything to me. These were just made up by someone not even a century ago. I feel no touchstone with these. I never really felt a touchstone with the idea of an overarching mother goddess or overarching father god. Kind of vaguely felt someone there, but just honestly wondered if it wasn't my imagination. Because, inner atheist comes out and says, well, if these gods and goddesses, mother goddess and father god, have always existed, why haven't they made contact before? And, all that other stuff. You guys know I will tear everything apart, even when I'm in the middle of it. So that fun happened. And, at the time I got in, you were told you are not a priest or priestess. If you wanted to become a priest or priestess, you had to go to a coven, you had to go to a regular tradition, and you had to study for years. It was a true spiritual calling, just like being a priest of any organized religion. And it was not something everyone wanted to do, because once you become the priest or priestess, you're on call. A lot of priests and priestesses would say, even back then, everybody wanted to do it. But they said, you don't realize you're going to be on call. People are going to come to you for spiritual help. People are going to come to you for money. People are going to come to you for healing. People are going to come to you with marriage problems. People are going to come to you because people are sick and dying in the hospital and they want a priest or priestess. You are fucking on call 24/7, and you don't get paid for this shit. It's not the Catholic Church. You're not getting a nice little house to live in attached to the church and have all of your bills paid and everything else. You don't get all this bullshit. You're holding down a job or four, and you're still trying to be the high priest, and people are still coming to you day and night. And back in the day, these priests would actually have pagers, and they finally would have rotating priests because they just couldn't handle it. And so one priest would be a priest for so long and then go, oh, fuck this shit, and tag out, and then the other priest would step up. And sometimes they had to do that, or they would have 4 or 5 priests in that tradition, so that it kind of like they would assign them to people, because it's too much for one human being to do. It's why priests end up going nuts in most traditions, because they have a spirituality where only this one person can intercede with the god for you, or the gods, usually one god. And they have thousands or hundreds of worshippers that are all coming to them. It's why a lot of them become alcoholics. It's why a lot of them lose their faith. It's too much pressure to put on one person. And then it's watered down to the point now where everybody is a priest or priestess. And sometimes people, without thinking, and I'm sure I've been guilty too, will say, oh, so-and-so said I'm their priest or priestess. It just means you're my human and you're doing stuff for me. That's the modern use. That's the modern use I'm getting from the gods of, oh, you're my human, you're doing stuff for me. I know you like this word, I know it makes you feel special, I have therefore decided you are my priest or priestess. And it doesn't invalidate a god's desires, but it does not mean the same thing as being a classically trained priest or priestess, and we have to realize that. I think we need a new lexicon of gopher, honestly. Yeah, I'm the gopher, he told me last night, I'm so excited, and then I'll get bored and I'll walk away like he always does. Same thing with godspousing. It is unfair and unkind to compare the mystical marriage of a nun to what people do today. A nun has given up for the rest of her life the ability to have children and to have a spouse. They did not react well when the Catholic Church said, yeah, all you women who are getting all the sex you want and have kids, the one thing that nuns aren't allowed to have, yeah, you can be married to Jesus too, why not? A lot of nuns flipped their shit, as rightly they should. They gave up everything. They gave up the chance to ever have a family. They gave up seeing their own family. Now, things have changed, but still no sex, no kids. They gave all that up because they felt a true calling for their God, and then, a lot of them said they just couldn't understand why God supposedly called them and loved them so much, but now he's calling every woman in the church, every single female. And they said they just didn't feel important or needed anymore. They said if these women could have, you know, children and have, you know, husbands and still do this, then they weren't needed. And they really weren't, because if everybody's special, nobody is. I put it up on Patreon, 2 opposing views, my view and Odin's view. And I said, you know, if everyone's special, if everyone's doing it, it means nothing anymore. It's just is not special as talking to the gods. Anyone can do that too. And, you know, in the community, it was a lifelong commitment. And you had to fucking think and think hard about this. You didn't just get to make the commitment and then 2 days later make the commitment with someone else, and 2 days later make the commitment with someone else, because you just signed yourself up for life with all these gods. That's what you just did, genius. And it was hard, because, you know, for one, the community didn't like it because they thought it was fantasy nonsense, which I'm starting to agree with. And for two, it was a lifelong commitment, and you had people coming up to you for stuff, yet telling you they thought you were crazy, but they thought, for some fucking reason, they thought you had magical, mystical powers. Probably because a couple of the notable ones wrote books. And they really piled the horse shit up in big, steaming fucking mountains of horse shit of how much the gods did for them. And it made it sound like God spousery was the fast track to everything, and it gave you instant fucking knowledge. Like, the moment you said yes, you just fucking downloaded all the secrets of the universe. And, you know, it's sad that it went from a lifetime commitment and something that people were very reluctant to talk about. I really don't enjoy talking about it, actually. Because it's something private and it's something sacred. It's now just people writing, especially on Tumblr, really inappropriate fan fiction of the gods and fantasies, and I got this, no, I got that, I got more than you, I'm getting the most D, no, I am, you bitch, get away from my... And it's just, it doesn't mean anything anymore, you know? It's like, I look at all this train wreck that it's become, and I said, you know, it doesn't mean anymore. It used to be the closest thing pagans had to kind of like a sacrament, other than cakes and ale, and, you know, now it doesn't mean anymore, because everybody's doing it. And I know we have 2020 to thank. I know we have COVID to thank, because people are fucking bored and they couldn't get to church, and like, it kind of scares me that I don't want to see anyone in the pagan community that became a pagan because you couldn't get to church. Your God's everywhere, yo. And, you know, that's the thing. If your relationship with your old God was so bad that you left just because you can't go to church or you're bored, what are you gonna do now? You can't go to a coven. You gonna leave the pagan gods too? So, you know, it takes time and takes fucking effort to keep a relationship with a god. Go read Christian bloggers. No, seriously. They talk about the ups and downs and how hard a struggle it is. And they believe their god controls everything. Every fucking thing is the only true god in existence. They still struggle. They still have to go to retreats. They still lose their faith, you know? Just coming to paganism because, excuse me, because you lost your faith or you're bored, you know, that's a very bad and shallow reason. So is, you know, magic or getting attention. Magic, it's just fucking fancy prayers, is all it is. All the hoo-ha shit of candles and crystals and all that other fucking, not Pinterest, what the fuck is it, Instagram stuff? It's fucking horseshit. They're minerals, and it's a candle. Woohoo. Actual classical witchcraft was done with everyday household items. I need some coffee to deal with the horse shit that's going on in 2020. And, you know, it wasn't anything special. If you look back at the witch trials, what were they using to accuse the women? Either, you know, going off and doing all this other crazy bullshit, but, you know, as they were hunting witches, anything they found Any common everyday item. They go, yeah, she has a cauldron. Everybody fucking had a cauldron. She has candles. Everybody had candles. And they would get these women, and sometimes men, and they would torture them. And if you're tortured long enough, you'll confess to any kind of crazy fucking horse shit, just to make the pain stop. And the thing was, some of the places, if you confessed to being a witch, it wouldn't torture you. Fuck yeah, I'd confess to being a witch, even if it wasn't the kind they're talking about. Eat babies? Yeah, I eat them every day. Baby sandwich every morning. Got ya. So, if it's between confessing to crazy bullshit because the whole population's fucking gone nuts, or getting tortured, I'm confessing the crazy fucking bullshit is what I'm doing. So, yeah, and it's just really sad, and it's really concerning to see what paganism and witchcraft has become anymore. It's become kind of this faddish, Instagrammable, fucking Tumblr, fucking die in a dumpster fire. I could say what you really mean thing. And I told the gods. Now, of course, the gods are upset because at the time, years ago, when people were getting into mystical marriage, it meant something. It was a lifetime commitment. You kept telling them no and to fuck off because it was a lifetime commitment. And you understood the responsibility you were taking on. You absolutely, positively understood. And you didn't like the idea because gods will then use it to rope you into stuff and say, well, hey, we have this relationship now, and I don't want you going over there and talking to that god, and I want your worship on me, and you have to pay attention to me, and you get to do all the cooking and the cleaning and all the other stuff. It's just like any other marriage. So, and a lot of people, I think, are going to start walking away from it and go, well, I gave years of service for this bullshit. And I don't blame people. And I said, I don't believe in it anymore, because if the gods are going out and handing this out to everyone and it isn't just a bunch of people fantasizing, then it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not valid anymore. If it's happening to absolutely everyone in the community, it's no longer special. It's not. It's not a thing. So, and the gods aren't happy with the standpoint I've taken, but I said it doesn't feel special anymore. It used to be, if you were doing it, it was taboo and it was wrong. And it was one of those things that you woke up on a daily basis and wondered if you were, if you were just crazy, if you were making this up, and, you believed and yet you wondered because nobody else was doing it. Now that everyone's doing it, it feels you're having the opposite reaction. My honest reaction is, I don't think it's valid. I don't think it's real anymore. It's like everybody waking up tomorrow and deciding if there was a new nun fad. Like everybody wanted to be Catholic nun, and they weren't even fucking Catholic, but they just had to do this because some whatever person did it, and now they all have to be nuns. It's the same fucking nonsense. They haven't had the training. They're not in a church. What the fuck is wrong with you people? So, it doesn't mean anything more to me. I know the gods are upset, and I posted my argument and Odin's counter argument on Patreon. And, I just, 2020 is a fucking shit show. We have a leader who stopped stimulus right before the election, then kind of dangled the little fishy of a stimulus check. And, he clearly did that to make the Democrats look bad, because he's the one that wrecked the economy, and he's the one that, is not going to give any more aid. Yet he's dangling this little teeny tiny sardine, and if the Democrats don't bite, then he's gonna say, well, it's all the Democrats' fault that you don't have your check. Fucking bullshit. You're the dumbass that stopped the stimulus. Don't pull this shit with me. So yeah, all Americans are in a bad mood. So, and I try not to get political, but it's kind of like, it feels like all this people oversharing, all this people making up stuff, all this Tumblr bullshit. It all feels like it's tied together, like everything has to fucking be ruined. Fucking ruined. And every sane person that was actually involved in it is walking away. Like every sane person right now is walking away from politics holding their hands up going, fuck me. You know, and I think a lot of sane people are starting to walk away from veganism too and going, you know what? This is a fucking shit show at this point. I'm walking away. So, I just figured I'd catch up with you guys. And yeah, I'm gonna try to figure out where I'm happy with the camera. This is not quite cropped in tight enough for me, but we shall see. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.